The world was broken, fractured by the magic the Vow Keepers said they would protect us from. Spellstorms still rage across the ruins of the Hollowlands. This is proof, they said. It isn't safe. It can't be controlled. Magic cannot be used.
Hello and welcome my sloths to a Spellbreak lore video. In this video I will be briefly going over the events in Garrick's journal leading up to the fracture and where I think the present day storyline is going to be taking us. So let's have a look at what we've got here, shall we? Throughout this video I'll be referencing Garrick's journal, a diary from a new Vow Keeper starting from before the fracture and detailing the events leading up to and following it as he ascends the ranks of the Order of the Vow Keepers. I will link the journal in the description so you can read through it yourself, as I will only be giving you a brief overview of events. I will also link a great video from another lawbreaker, Casual Adobo, that goes into depth into what caused the fracture, and then you can come up with your own theories, and I would love to hear them in the comments. The journal begins with Garrick explaining his father doesn't agree with his decision to join the Vow Keepers, instead wishing he would stay in Westmar and take over the family stall, or become an accountant. However, Garrick states that I did not work for years in school to simply sell apples and yerocots all day. I want to study, I want to grow, I want to chronicle history. There is so much knowledge we do not yet know. And so sets about getting ready to go off to Fort Halcyon to begin his training as a Vow Keeper. The day before he's due to set off though, after not speaking to his father for 4 days, Garrick awakes to a note with a key. The note read, "You have much to learn, even in Westmar." The key was for his grandfather's chest, which contained various letters from his grandfather and a gauntlet. This made Garrick question everything he thought he knew about his grandfather. Does this mean his grandfather was a breaker? Is Garrick the grandson of a breaker? How long's the Vow Mandate been in effect? Anyway, I'm getting off track. These are theories for another day. Keep your eye on mine and Elder God's channel because we will be definitely covering this one at some point. The next day, Garrick sets off to Fort Halcyon to begin his life as a Vow Keeper, and in the following pages, over several books, Garrick comes across various magical artifacts and interesting people that I'm afraid I just don't have the time to go over, but we'll cover later on down the line. What I want to focus on in this video though, is a letter, a satchel, and a book that Garrick gets handed by Avira Emberdane during his journey. Instead, she had a single letter. She told me this letter is proof that the fracture itself was not some catastrophic accident, but instead was caused by the Vow Keepers themselves. She held the letter up to me and said this was the first bit of proof. She wanted my help to uncover the rest. This is the first indication we get that what the Vow Keepers are allowed to be taught is drastically different from the truth. Now this shakes Garrick to his core, so much so that it actually takes him days before he's even able to read the letter. I was not ready to read the letter just yet, but in my haste to take the letter from Avira, I was able to catch just one thing. The letter was addressed to Ferric Snowlash. With the start of Chapter 2, we have been introduced to Ferric Snowlash, the youngest person to become the head of the Order of the Vow Keepers, and already get the feeling he's up to no good. And Garrick's journal all but confirms this for us. The letter Avira gave me was addressed to Ferric Snowlash. The foremark on the letter was unmistakably from someone at the Banehelm Academy. There was no name, and the bottom portion of the letter had been ripped. This was an update on a research project. It seemed like an innocuous note, the typical boring, dry research report I usually love. However, after reading it twice, I know why this seems so important to the Breakers. It appears that Banehelm Academy, at the secret request of the Vow Keepers, is seeking to find a way to reconstitute a shattered Vital Stone. But that is all I'm willing to write in these pages. Why could the Vow Keepers, who are objectively anti-magic, be trying to rebuild an incredibly powerful artifact that not only elongates a person's lifespan, but also protects them from death? For more information on Vital Stones, be sure to check out Elder God's video that I link in the description below. But this letter gets us thinking. However, the next part all but confirms it. She reached into her satchel and produced a book and a soft satin pouch. The book was in rough shape, the cover torn beyond recognition. Avira stared at me intently as I flipped through the pages.
I continued to read on, and when I turned the next page, my breath caught in my throat. This was the project written about in the letter to Ferric. These notes were about reconstituting a vital stone. Not just any vital stone, though. The mystical vital stone of Gyle. I never thought this stone was real. No one did. The story is ancient, one of ritual and lore, back to the creation of the world. It is part of the Valkeeper faith, but I never took it literally. Until now. Avira sensed the recognition on my face, and it seemed somewhat satisfied in my horror. She reached out to the pouch and opened it, dropping the contents onto the table in front of us. A single splinter of a finely etched and cut brillstone sat on the table. The world around me started to pulse in the same way as my dreams. I could not look away from the splinter. After a moment, Avira scooped up the shard and put it back in the pouch. She looked at me with concern and asked if I now believed her. I answered the only way I could. I don't know.
This is where it gets super interesting. The Spellbreak Wiki states, according to the stories, the vital stone of Gyle was involved in the creation of the world. So now we have documents stating that Ferric and the Valkeepers are trying to rebuild the vital stone of Gyle to supposedly better understand what the Breakers can do with the vital stones that they've got. This cover seems flimsy to me at best, because surely they could do it with any of the vital stones dotted around the map. Why do they need the most powerful vital stone that we've ever heard of? Why do they need the one that created all life? This leads me to believe that Ferric and the Keepers have an ulterior motive. What that is, however, I really don't know. If you sloths have any ideas, I would love to hear them. Leave all your theories in the comments below. However, I do have a theory as to where the overall Spellbreak storyline could be headed. Although, before I tell you that, there is one more piece of information that I need you to know. Humans are not the only race in the Hololands. The Spellbreak Wiki tells us of another race that we know very little about. The Prisma were a separate race from the humans, and while they were once good allies of the denizens of the Highlands, the border between the nations was closed by the Five-Hand Alliance. Garrick mentions how a ledger he found describes their former trade partnership, exchanging brillstones and opalescence ore for magical runes. Now, I don't know about you sloths, but to me this sounds like a race very in tune with magic, minerals, runestones and crystals, which leads me very nicely back to my theory of what we have coming. I thoroughly believe that Ferric and the Valkeepers were trying to rebuild the vital stone of Gyle for an unknown motive, and in doing so caused the fracture. However, this doesn't deter them, and by the end of the chapter I genuinely believe they will be successful, causing the fracture to worsen, causing more damage to the Hololands, and even going as far as causing the Prisma to break the Val Mandate and return to the Hololands to intervene and put a stop to Ferric and the Valkeepers' plans for the vital stone of Gyle. And that, Lawbreakers, is my theory. Let me know what you think, if you agree or if you disagree, or if you have any theories of your own in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the lore side of Spellbreak, then don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I also stream over on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, 8 PM UK time, so be sure to come and discuss any theories or lore with me live. Stay chill, stay curious, and keep lore breaking. Peace out, my sloths.